Welcome to the AI investment memo. So, how much money do you actually need to retire? It's the big question, isn't it? The one that can feel a little overwhelming. Well, today we're going to cut through all that noise and give you a simple roadmap to find your answer. You know, we all dream about that day, the one where we finally get to stop working. But right behind that dream, there's usually this little nagging voice of anxiety, right? Am I ready? Do I have enough? We're all looking for that one single magic number that'll tell us, okay, you did it, you can relax now. But here's the thing. That magic number doesn't exist. Not a single one anyway. It's totally personal because your life, your dreams, your goals, they're all unique. The good news, though, there is a clear roadmap to find your number, and we're going to walk through it together, step by step. And hey, if you want to follow along and maybe plug in your own numbers as we go, we've put together some really handy tools for you over at retirementaihelper.com. It's kind of the perfect co-pilot for this journey. All right, let's get into it. Every good map needs some basic rules of the road, and retirement planning is no different. These are the time-tested guidelines that give us a solid place to start. First up is the 80% rule. Now, the idea here is pretty simple. You probably won't need your full salary once you retire. I mean, think about it. No more commuting costs, you're not saving for retirement anymore, and hey, maybe your mortgage is finally paid off. So, aiming to replace about 70 to 80% of what you made before you retired is a really solid target to keep living the lifestyle you're used to. Next up, the famous 4% rule. This one's a classic for a reason. Basically, historical data tells us that you can withdraw 4% of your total portfolio in your first year of retirement, then adjust that amount for inflation every year after that, and you'll have a really high chance of not running out of money for a good 30 years. Now, sure, there's some debate these days about if 4% is still the perfect number, but it is an excellent framework for planning. And this is where that 4% rule gets really powerful. If you just flip the math around, it gives you a super concrete target. See, if you can withdraw 4% a year, that means you need to have saved 25 times the annual income you want from your investments. Let that sink in for a second. To get $40,000 a year from your portfolio, you need $1 million saved up. That's the 25x rule, and it is an absolute game changer for setting a real tangible goal. So how in the world do you get to that huge 25x number without completely freaking out? Well, it definitely doesn't happen overnight. This table here gives you some helpful little signposts along the way. By the time you're 30, a good goal is to have about 1 times your salary saved. By 40, you're looking at 3 times, by 50, 6 times, and it keeps climbing. Now, these aren't strict, hard and fast rules, but they're a great way to just check in and see if you're headed in the right direction. Of course, even the best map can't predict traffic jams or detours, right? The real world has, well, it has wild cards. These are the big, powerful forces that can totally throw you off course if you're not planning for them. The first wild card is a sneaky one. It's the silent killer of retirement dreams, inflation. It doesn't feel like a big deal from one year to the next, but over 20 or 30 years, it's devastating. A pretty normal 3% inflation rate means that in about 24 years, your money will only buy half of what it does today. A plan that doesn't account for that is, well, it's a plan that's set up to fail. And just look at this chart for a second. It shows that not all inflation is created equal. The cost of healthcare has consistently, and I mean consistently, risen faster than everything else. That means you need a separate, dedicated plan for it. It's probably the single biggest financial wildcard for most people heading into retirement. So what does that look like in real dollars? You might want to sit down for this. The average couple retiring today at age 65 is estimated to need around $330,000 just for their out-of-pocket healthcare costs. And that's on top of what Medicare covers. It's a huge number, and it absolutely has to be part of your calculation. And the last wild card, it's actually good news, but it's a massive financial challenge. We are all living longer, much longer. About a third of people who are 65 today will live to see their 90th birthday. That means your retirement could easily stretch for 30, even 35 years. This isn't just a marathon, it's an ultra marathon. Your money has to last as long as you do. So with those rules and wild cards in mind, let's see how this all plays out for real people. We're going to look at 3 very different households to see how they're navigating their own unique paths to retirement. First up, let's meet Jim and Linda. They're a modest income couple, and they've pretty much done everything right their whole lives. They saved consistently. But they know that one of those big wildcards, like a major health issue, could change absolutely everything for them. And you can see their situation pretty clearly right here. That big slice, that's Social Security. It makes up a full 2/3 of their retirement income. It is their bedrock. The other slice is what they'll pull from their personal savings to fill in the gap. This is a very, very common picture for a lot of middle-class American retirees. Now let's meet Maria. She's a high-income professional, and her challenge is the complete opposite. You see, Social Security is designed to replace a much smaller percentage of higher incomes. That means the heavy lifting, the vast majority of her retirement funding, has to come from her own savings. And her chart really shows that contrast, doesn't it? Look at that huge slice for savings. It has to generate almost 3/4 of her retirement income. Social Security is just a small piece of the puzzle for her. This is exactly why those savings milestones we looked at are so important for high earners. And finally, let's look at John and Mary. They've worked hard their whole lives, but on a lower income, building up a huge nest egg just wasn't in the cards. Their retirement plan is built almost entirely on the public safety net. Their income pie is almost all Social Security. We're talking nearly 90%. Their own savings are just that tiny little sliver, a small but absolutely vital buffer for emergencies. This really shows how vulnerable they are to those wild cards. One big medical bill or a few bad years of inflation could be a real crisis for them. So these three stories make it really clear, right? Everyone's journey is different. So now let's bring it all together and give you the tools to draw your own personal map. So how do you find your number? It really comes down to these 4 simple but incredibly powerful steps. Number 1, figure out what you'll spend each year in retirement. 2, subtract any guaranteed income you have, like Social Security or a pension. 3, whatever's left over, that's your annual shortfall. That's the gap your savings have to fill. And 4, take that shortfall and multiply it by 25. That's it. That's your target. That's your number. Everyone's answers to those 4 steps are going to be different. Your lifestyle, your health, your dreams, they all make your journey one of a kind. So the only question left is, are you ready to pick up that pencil and start drawing your map? Because at the end of the day, retirement isn't about hitting a certain age. It's about achieving a state of readiness. You've worked so hard to earn your freedom. Now it's time to plan for it. Go check out retirementaihelper.com to start building your own personalized roadmap today.